And what we found is that some of our staffing divisions and operating divisions have recently had near miss breach scenarios. And it's really brought to light how important it is to create an infrastructure of homogeneity of some sort, where we know that down to the servers, things are being patched appropriately, and that they're using the right protocols from a security stack standpoint, and the fact that we're all using common credentialing and identity management. So those are the kind of things that are really pushing us to the cloud now.
You know, the ability to take and pull the necessary data out of those data centers to secure it in a much more effective way, cost-effective way, is definitely, you know, what we in the U.S. and you in the federal government need to be focusing on, is migrating to the cloud. It provides us so much more flexibility, more cost effective. The security, I mean, you can push patches and things instantaneously, where when you had the legacy brick and mortar data centers, you know, you never knew when one organization who didn't patch properly could be your weakest link in a network or a chain, and really cause havoc. And we know those bad actors are out there just knocking on the door. We were collecting data that really had very minimal value. So now it gives you the opportunity to evaluate the data that you are collecting and secure what you need to secure, because granted, you don't need to secure all of it.
If you guys are suggesting that there are opportunities, the answer is absolutely yes. Like, for example, we're looking at automation in terms of the logs, in terms of the security stacks, and how we could use AI to do what we aren't able to do with those logs manually. So I'm 100% on board.
One of the challenges that we've got and we have already on-prem, is around personal data, whether that's PII or PHI, and with the introduction in the European Union of the GDPR regulations, which come in on the 25th of this month, and which expose any organization to a fine of 4% of their global revenues if they go against it. 4% of global revenues. If that doesn't wake people up, I don't know what will. But that, of course, brings challenges, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud.
I would say that definitely, you know, whether your data is on-prem or off-prem, the advantages of storing it in the cloud, definitely you can secure it, you can manage it, you can analyze it. Having just data and things in the cloud just offers you a better way to analyze it while it's in transit. You can encrypt it. Just understanding your data better than when it's out in the individual data centers, where it's a very stovepipe. You don't really know unless you understand the whole supply chain of what is going on, how they have secured it, who's watching it, has someone gotten into the network. So definitely in the cloud you have a better understanding of the infrastructure, and you can monitor it and analyze it. And with AI, definitely that provides you a much greater advantage. And I think we are maturing those areas. I know in Samsung we are definitely we are putting our cloud initiative in place, and we're working on a whole ecosystem where we can provide from tooth to tail, as they used in the military, but beginning to end, just to better understand the whole ecosystem, so that you understand where your data is going, what it's doing, and how you can secure it.
The mobility aspect, right? So, you know, we envision a scenario where any person with any device can identify who they are, be accepted from an identity management standpoint and credentialing. And based on where they are, what persona they're presenting, and what device they have, they should be able to get to the data that they're allowed to get to and manipulate it and only it. And we're not quite at that point yet. But that's why it's so important to talk about cloud, because cloud enables that mobility, right?
Correct.
And so,
as
I said,
you can't.
I think it's inevitable that we're all moving that way. And it's just a matter of us getting a level of maturity to the point where we have the mechanisms in place to do that exact thing, that we can protect the data at the data level. But ultimately, that the data management piece of it to the person that's utilizing that data, that connection has to be one that's very confident, that's very trusted, and we're not quite there yet in my mind.
Your identity management strategy and structure is very, very important so that you know the person that is accessing the data is the person that truly needs to have access to it.
Right.
That we're at the beginning of the next wave of the mobile revolution, where all data is going to be mobile data. And that's why the journey I took the Ministry of Defence on was around fully adopting securely the cloud and mobility. And all that mobile data we don't want on the devices. It needs to be held in the cloud. Because we've got 5G now just around the corner, and the promise of that. And I know, because I was with Samsung yesterday at their research facility in Dallas, that they're maintaining, and have done for some months now, speeds with near 5G of over 3 gigabits per second and a latency of less than 10 milliseconds. So this is potentially a real game changer.
I think 5G is just going to be revolutionary. Not evolutionary, but revolutionary. What we are experiencing today with 4G and things like that, 5G is just going to be light years ahead. It's going to take us into being able to take all the sensors that are out there, whether they're in your car, whether they're on the streets, whether they're cameras in London, and be able to pull that information and process it at near time speeds, which open up possibilities that we cannot even imagine today. It is going to affect the airline industry. It's going to affect the medical community. It's going to affect agriculture, because now you can put sensors out and you can tell if the crops have enough water or bugs or whatever are out there. It is going to impact the insurance companies. It is going to be fabulous for DoD, and I see a lot of my DoD counterparts from before out here, but the ability for police and fire and DoD to use the ability of drones that are processing near real-time data and not have to send a human into some of those situations is just going to be phenomenal. It's going to impact laws and policies, and definitely it's going to impact privacy, because now you're collecting all this data. What are you going to do with it?
With containerization, at least you get the homogeneity, so the security aspects are then accommodated. So I embrace that piece of it. We haven't widely used it at headquarters yet in terms of being able to transform or modernize our infrastructure, but I think that's where it's going to play.
I think that we really need to be able to find a better way to have better ability to migrate away from all that legacy infrastructure and the applications and get into a more flexible model and framework on how we access our data in the cloud.